Hello, welcome to our assembly. I hope you're all okay. Hope you've all had a lovely, lovely day. Do you know what? I've seen some really, really good work as I've been going around school, and I've seen some really fantastically well-behaved children doing amazing hard work. I've been so impressed by children in dragonflies. They've come in, they've settled down, they're working really quietly. I've been into spiders and seen how hard children are working. There's lots of really interesting discussion about their work. I've seen the children in hedgehogs. Wow. I've no idea we were going to get pen licenses so quickly. That is really, really good. And the children in badgers who are settling in. They've got a bit different size class. They're working with different people and they're working so, so hard. Magpies, honestly, some of the writing, some of the reading I have seen in magpies has been absolutely amazing. And everywhere I go through Key Stage 1, the children in grasshoppers, squirrels and rabbits, the children in foxes and owls and butterflies are sitting so well. They're listening to their teachers. They're behaving brilliantly. So you have all done a really, really good job. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Now, this week you've been listening to some of the people in your class who want to be school counsellors, and you've been listening to why they want to be a school counsellor. Mrs. Miller has been working really hard to plan things for the school council. So you're going to choose who your school counsellor is going to be. As a way of doing that, can you remember what it's called? That's right, it's a vote. Yeah, you're going to vote. So each person gets one vote and they get to choose which person they think will be the best school counsellor for their class. And everybody in the class gets a vote. You and you and you and you and absolutely everybody. It doesn't matter whether you identify as a boy or a girl. It doesn't matter if you are Christian or Muslim or Sikh or you have no faith. It doesn't matter if you've got black skin, brown skin, white skin, yellow skin, purple skin, spotty, stripy, green and pink skin. It doesn't matter whether you've got 1, 2 or 3 legs or anything else. Everybody gets a vote. And that's the same. That's actually the law. It's not just something we do in school. That's the law. And when there is a general election, which is how we choose a new prime minister, that's the law as well, that everybody can have a vote. But it wasn't always that way. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you a real story about something that happened in America not very long ago. I mean, 40, 50 years might feel like a long time ago to you guys, but it's not actually that long ago when you think about it. So this is one of our favorites because we love the Little People, Big Dreams books. And this is about Martin Luther King Jr. Now, at the end of this story, I am going to ask you which global goal we're talking about. Okay, so that's what I want you to start thinking as we read through this. So Martin Luther King Jr. Little Martin was a spiritual boy from Atlanta who came from a long line of preachers. His dad was a preacher, his uncle was a preacher, his grandfather was a preacher, and maybe he'd become a great preacher too. One day, a friend invited him over to play. Martin was shocked when he was asked to leave because he was black. That day, he realized something terrible was going on. Now, that's really interesting because that's his friend. He was invited round by his friends, so the children knew what was going on. The children knew it was okay to be friends no matter what the color of skin is. It's actually the grown-ups who got this wrong. The grown-ups said, go away because your skin is the wrong color. So the grown-ups, does anybody know what they're doing, what they're being? Yeah, that word is racist. They're judging people. They're treating people differently because of the color of their skin, and that's wrong. This terrible thing was called segregation. It meant that public places like restaurants and buses had separate places for black and white people. Martin and his friends had to go to different schools. They weren't allowed. Can you imagine being told to do different things just because of the way that you looked, something that you couldn't ever help? Martin believed that one shouldn't remain silent or accept something if it's wrong. He promised himself when he grew up he'd fight injustice with the most powerful weapon of all, words. Yeah, it's not to do with fighting, but it's actually to do with the words that you use and persuading people. Marty studied at universities in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts, where he read about Mahatma Gandhi. And Mahatma Gandhi was a man who'd improved the lives of millions of Indians with peaceful methods of protest. So he was learning about other great leaders who were persuading people with words. Best way to do it. And when he finished his studies, Martin moved to Alabama and became the pastor of a church in Montgomery. Every Sunday from his pulpit, he encouraged his congregation to speak up about things that mattered. Like we know that the global goals matter, like we know that we should speak up about life on land or about how we recycle, because it's important that plastics don't go into the sea, so climate action, things like that. Keep thinking about your global goal. One evening, a woman named Rosa was arrested for refusing to give up a seat to a white man on a bus. Martin asked the people in his community not to take the bus again until the law was changed. And back at that point, a lot more people had to use the bus a lot more regularly. I wonder if anybody can remember Rosa's surname, because we've talked about this in assemblies before. Put your hand up if you can. Share it with your teacher. Well done, that's right, it's Rosa Parks. Many citizens were inspired by Rosa's story and Martin's words, and suddenly the buses were almost empty. They stayed empty for more than a year until segregation on Montgomery's buses finally ended. So because of Martin's words, because he persuaded people to protest in a peaceful way, eventually the people who were in charge said, we're not going to sit people separately on the buses. You can all sit together. It was the first major civil rights action in America, but not the last. Martin encouraged people all over the country to stand up for their rights and join in with peaceful protest. They were often attacked. Martin was arrested 29 times, but he and his followers never fought back with force. He knew that hate can't drive out hate. Only love can drive out hate. Martin helped to organize a protest march on Washington where he gave a life-changing speech. It began with 4 simple yet powerful words. I have a dream. And next year, Martin became the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. His words of hope, peace, and justice called a nation to change its laws and make them equal for everyone. And if you listen to your heart, you can still hear little Martin asking you to keep his dream alive. A dream of a world where we're judged by our character, not by the colour of our skin. So Martin's dream, saying, I have a dream, was about everybody being equal, everybody being judged on who they are, not what they look like. Really, really important. So that's some pictures of Martin Luther King from 1953 onwards to 1965. So tell me, what was the global goal? Yeah, that's right. I hope you've all said reduced inequalities. Absolutely. So making sure that everybody is treated equally. That's really important. It's just the same as so you're treated just the same as the person sitting the chair next to you, the desk over the way. And you've got those same rights. So I hope that you use those rights for democracy, because that's what it's called when everybody gets a vote. It's called democracy. And you use that right to vote for your school counsellors. And I hope you make a really good choice. And I look forward to hearing about all the exciting things the school council are going to do for the school this year. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.